Hello, gorgeous. I hope you're okay. I want to talk today about what shapes us, what makes us who we are. As the saying goes, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and we are all great beings. We are all the sum of all our parts. Sometimes life isn't so much about the big defining moments. It's often more about the small and perfect ones. They're equally significant, each in its own small way, in shaping who we become. It's the giggles or the outrage that slip out at the wrong time, the heartbreak that we didn't see coming, the simple, ordinary things that fall by the wayside that somehow turn out to be the ones we miss the most. My latest novel, The Sum of All Parts, was born from that realization that none of us are made up of just one story. We're all a collection of moments bound together by courage, loss, forgiveness, friendship, and love. And sometimes it's not until everything falls apart that we see how neatly all of that fits together. When I wrote The Sum of All Parts, it was the end of a series of novels that had started off as just one, but which morphed into a series when I realized that my gorgeous primary protagonist still had a lot more to say and do and be as an aging woman who had to pull her life back together after it blew apart. I wanted to round off the 8 years of her life across the series and all that had happened across that spectrum, and explore what happens when the life we thought we'd planned so carefully suddenly changes direction, as hers did yet again. When something unexpected shatters the expectations we have of how our lives will be, we're often left standing, bewildered, asking ourselves, what the hell just happened? And what will happen now? I've been there more than once myself, and I wanted to delve more into that, into how a woman in later life has to reevaluate her life when it changes dramatically without warning. Maybe you've had one or more of those moments too. Moments when something happens that throws your world completely off its axis and you realize you're no longer who you were. You no longer can be, but you're not yet sure of who you're becoming. That can be uncomfortable. That can also be pretty scary, but it's profoundly human. In The Sum of All Parts, the people who have experienced the magic of Teapot Cottage find themselves navigating those spaces between endings and beginnings. There's love, yes, but there's also loss. There are tears and anguish, indecision and fear of the future, but there's laughter and inspiration too, and hope. And through all of it, there's this unspoken truth that even when life feels scattered into 1,000 pieces, the pieces still belong to us. We can pick them up and rebuild. In fact, we have to, because the alternative's unthinkable, isn't it? When something in our life explodes, the natural reaction for most of us is to try and make sense of everything, to get our sleeves rolled up, to tidy up the mess, to make the picture look neat and tidy again. But maybe the real work of living isn't about trying to get things back to the way they were. Maybe it's about learning to put back together what's broken in a different way, in a way that can allow us to redefine who we are and what sort of life we want to live going forward. You see, none of us is perfect, are we? All of us are human, and that means being flawed, but it also means accepting that and embracing it. Because we have to. We somehow have to find a way to keep moving forward, bearing our scars, owning our mistakes, admitting our regrets, and finding the beauty and the elegance and the strength in all of that. When I think about the women I write for and talk to and encourage to tell their own beautiful and massively important stories, they're women who have loved deeply, they've lost deeply, and they've rebuilt quietly and courageously. I think about how every one of us has at least one story like this. A story of endings and new starts, of how we somehow managed to turn heartbreak into hope. A story that reminds us that we're still here, we're still standing, we're still amazing and beautiful with our scars and flaws. And we're finding new ways to love the lives we have, even when they look nothing like the ones we expected or imagined we'd have. And that's what the sum of all parts really means. It's the reminder that no single chapter ever defines us. Our lives are more than just the failures and the heartaches. They're about the happy times too, the ways in which we were able to pick up the pieces and move forward, even as our knees were trembling as we did it. Because everything that happened to us has made us who we are. If you've ever felt like you've lost your way or your story has changed without your permission, I hope my latest novel reassures you the way it reassured me as I was writing it, that despite what might have happened, we're all still whole and still evolving and still worthy. That our lives, just as they are, with all the tears and laughter, the breaking and the mending, and the quiet, determined resilience that gave all of that to us, that's enough. So wherever you are today, whether you're beginning again or holding on or letting go, just remember this. I'd love you to just remember that you're not just one thing. You're not just the end result of something traumatic that dropped you to your knees for a while. You're not just the product of picking up pieces once or twice, and you're not just the shiny example people see of how a woman looks when everything goes just right. You are the wholeness made up of a life of small but significant fragments, experiences good and bad. You're the sum of all parts. And each and every one of those parts is beautiful and unique and a testament to all that you've endured or lost or courageously left behind or found joy in and celebrated. And there is real beauty in all of that, and that in itself is worth celebrating. So please, my darling, never dwell too much on the single parts of who you are that leave you feeling frustrated or wanting. You're so much more than just those. There's no such thing as perfect, but you're pretty close to it as the unique and incredibly special product of your own history. All of it mattered, all still to come will matter. Who you are as you continually evolve is magnificent as the sum of all parts. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It's one that's really close to my heart because I too am the sum of all parts, and I have endured and I've rebuilt a few times. I too have scars as testament to my survival, and I have a wonderful clutch of amazing memories and experiences to celebrate too. I've written many stories now of other women just like me, and maybe just like you too. We must never lose sight of the fact that we are all the sum of our parts, and the whole of us is who we are. It's greater than all of them. If this podcast has resonated with you, maybe you could share it with another woman who might need reminding that every piece of her life still matters, even the ones she wishes she could rewrite. And if you like, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to visit the world of Teapot Cottage again, or for the first time, my new novel, the last in this Teapot Cottage series, The Sum of All Parts, it's out now. It's a story about love, loss, and the quiet courage it takes to rebuild a life from the pieces left behind and reawaken a part of yourself that you used to believe was lost. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.